Hello, I'm Andy from the YouTube channel Your Friend Andy. Welcome to my podcast. Last year, my YouTube channel made $258,000 with less than 100,000 subscribers. In this episode of the podcast, I will break down how I did that and how you can do it too. First, let me talk about how I started my YouTube channel. My channel, Your Friend Andy, is not actually my first YouTube channel. My first YouTube channel is called, it still exists, called Burger Fiction. Started that with my good friend Jonathan back in 2015. We ran that channel for several years and it gained a little over 160,000 subscribers and currently has, I think, like 83 or 84 million views. The videos we made on that channel were all about cinema and movies, supercuts, video essays, listicles, movie reviews, that kind of thing. And in creating that channel, what I discovered is one, YouTube is a lot of fun. Two, I could figure out if I tried enough and kind of banged my head against the wall enough, I could figure out what goes into a video that can get a few thousand or a few tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even a million views. So I would give that channel a lot of credit for my love of the platform of YouTube. However, what that channel did not provide was much in the way of money. I think in the 3 to 5 years, I don't remember exactly how long we ran that channel, that we did it, the entire time it made about $38,000 all in total, not per year, in total, all the years, in YouTube AdSense monetization, which in case you don't know, that's the money that YouTube pays you for the ads they place on your videos. They give you a share of that revenue. Now, we did make a bit more money than that because we did do some custom videos, we did some sponsorships, but all in all, it was not a big moneymaker. I'm sure you can make a lot of money with cinema videos. There are obviously channels out there that are very successful doing that, but we, cracked the code in some ways, but not in the monetization ways. So that channel gave me the idea that maybe there's something to this whole YouTube platform. Clearly, I have a little bit of a knack for creating videos that get some views. What else do I care about? What else am I passionate about? What else do I think I could talk about that people would also want to watch that maybe would be slightly more monetizable than the movie niche, for example? Well, at about the time that I was wrapping up my time with Burger Fiction, we were just about to enter into 2020, into the pandemic, and I had been watching lots of personal finance, investing, crypto content on YouTube because that has been a big passion of mine for the past almost 10 years since I started turning my own life around financially. And I would watch these videos of these creators. These are, much bigger creators than I'm even now, but I would watch their videos about how much they're making on YouTube. And it wasn't $38,000 across multiple years. Some of them, it was like $35,000 just in AdSense per month. Some of the numbers that they said were actually baffling to me that you could do that on this platform. So that opened my eyes to, the higher paid niches within YouTube that are out there. So 2020 happened. My small business kind of got pushed to the side because all of our clients either canceled or rescheduled or whatever because, it was a pandemic. Everything was locked down. So I had a bunch of months in a row where I didn't have anything going on with my small business or, my day job, which is what it was at the time. So I had some free time to finally do this other idea that had been kicking around in the back of my head for 1 or 2 years at that point, which was to start another YouTube channel. However, it was a scary prospect. If you're someone who's listening to this and you've thought about this whole YouTube thing, maybe you've had the same fear, which is, hello, it's me, I'm on camera right now, and that is not a comfortable place for a lot of people, including me, as it turns out, even though I do this much more frequently and I am much better at it now. I'm not like perfect at it or anything like that, but once upon a time, it was a very scary prospect to turn the camera on and then to look into this black hole, this black void, and speak to it like it's someone else that I'm talking to. No easy task, and definitely full of anxiety and fear because not only do I have to do this thing, but I also have to put myself out there and then people are going to watch it, maybe if I'm lucky. And then some of those people who watch it, or maybe all of those people who watch it, are going to hate me and say the things I'm doing are dumb and I'm bad at this whole thing and I should stop immediately. And why are you even putting yourself out there? You're bad at this. There's all kinds of scenarios that you can think about when venturing into this. But I got over those fears, created this channel in 2020, and now here I am 3 years later and about to hit, well, not about, I'm a few thousand subscribers away from 100,000 subscribers. But as I said at the beginning of this podcast episode, $250,000 this channel generated just last year. So by a lot of metrics, this channel is a success. My worst fears did not get realized. So I'm, of course, happy with my decision to start this. So I think it'd be interesting if you've ever thought about starting a YouTube channel, or you're just curious what goes into behind the scenes, to break down a lot of what I just said in this episode of the podcast and get into the monetization and a little bit behind the scenes and answer some common questions about starting YouTube channels because, and I'll get into this in a bit, I think YouTube is this incredible opportunity, not just to make money and to put yourself out there, but the long-term passive income potential of YouTube is fairly incredible. Now, I will say that when I first started this channel, I did do something that I didn't do with my first YouTube channel, which is your friend Andy, from basically day one, I treated like a business. Because why would I want to have fun with this thing? I'm just going to treat it like a business from the get-go and just start grinding away. Wrong. No, it's not a thing about fun or passion or any of that type of stuff. It was just a decision mainly about the finances of the channel because I wanted to take it seriously and to hopefully, if all went well, if the stars aligned and the YouTube gods shine down on me, I would turn this whole YouTube and online content thing into my full-time job, which, spoiler alert, that's what happened. But, if I didn't have that as a goal or as a thought and part of the plan from the beginning, I don't know if I would be here where I am today. So I will say that I think it was a great decision on my part, and I've noticed a lot of other channels do the same thing to their own successes, to treat this whole YouTube channel thing like a business from the beginning. This is important because, one, you're going to treat it more seriously. If you do treat it more like a job, then you actually show up and you put in the time each week. It can still be a lot of fun, but you can just introduce a little bit of scheduling or adding a little plan to the madness, which I don't think is a bad thing. One of the big parts about this is that since I am treating it like a business, I actually created a business for it, and I separate my personal and business finances. Which, let me just tell you right now, if you're going to start a side hustle of any kind, start a business on the side, do something new, create your own thing, it is incredibly important to separate your personal finances from your business finances, because if you don't, when tax season comes around, it's going to be one big gross mess that you are either going to have to sort through, or a professional, you're going to have to pay extra money for them to spend extra time sorting through. So I did that from the get-go. Created a separate bank account just for my YouTube channel, created an LLC, all that stuff. And on that topic, let's hear a quick word from this episode's sponsor, Relay. If you're like me, then you're either a small business owner or you would like to start your own business one day. And when you do that, you're going to need a banking solution that's truly built just for your business. That means no fees, no minimum balances, and no bookkeeping problems when tax season rolls around, because why would you want to make tax season even less fun? That's where Relay comes in. Relay is an online banking and money management platform that's a perfect fit for small businesses, and one I recommend. Again, Relay has no account fees, no overdraft fees, and no minimum balances, which means you get to keep more in your pocket. One of my favorite features is that you can get up to 20 individual accounts, including 2 savings accounts, to organize and allocate income for things like day-to-day expenses, investments, or taxes. You can now earn up to 3% APY on savings with Relay savings accounts. You can create virtual and physical debit cards for you and your employees in seconds. And best of all, Relay makes your bookkeeping speedy and meticulous by giving you ultra-detailed transaction data and directly syncing it back to QuickBooks Online and Xero. And so many more amazing features I don't have time to tell you about here. Really, they do a lot. It only takes 10 minutes to apply for a free Relay account, and you can do it online at relayfi.com/yourfriendandy. Again, that is relayfi.com/yourfriendandy. Okay, let's jump into this episode. Okay, I'm back. So why do I even like YouTube in the first place? Why have I pursued this as my gig, my thing? As a full-time deal from this point forward? Well, like I alluded to, The fact that YouTube is this machine. You put content on YouTube, you put a video on YouTube, and the shelf life of that video, you don't know how long it will be. Certainly, there are flash in a pan, lightning striking kind of videos. They go viral, they flatline, and that's the end of it. But if you ever searched for the answer to a question into YouTube, you looked at certain topics, you started watching all these specific types of videos. Maybe you're nerding out on cars, or you started learning how to build a computer, or you started looking at passive income, whatever the topic might be, you'll notice that shortly thereafter, YouTube will start recommending more videos like that thing you were watching. And some of those videos aren't uploaded last week or even last month. Some might have been uploaded 2 years ago. The ability to create content and put it on YouTube and have it be evergreen is incredible. The long tail, viewability, watchability, sustainability of a certain video assets getting views over long term is huge on YouTube. I still have videos that I made 1+ years ago that are getting views every single day. And I'll get into this more, but those same videos are also making me money every single day. So as I create YouTube videos, I look at my channel, all my videos I've uploaded, kind of as my library of video assets. I want to continue putting more and more things into this catalog, into this library, because the more chances I take at putting stuff there, the more chances I have of some of those things sticking around for the long haul and getting views over the long haul. Is YouTube passive from day one? No. Every video I produce takes a long time to write the script and film it and send it to my editor and go through this whole post-production process, and it is a whole ordeal. However, once I get past that initial surge of time spent on the video, it absolutely becomes passive income because it's totally hands-off, which is another thing I love about YouTube, which is YouTube not only has a built-in audience. If you're listening to this podcast or watching this video because you follow my podcast on one of the many services or you subscribe to my podcast YouTube channel, hello and thank you for doing that, by the way. Well, here you are. You are a built-in audience for this specific content. Same with my main channel. But what I really mean beyond that, that's the obvious one, YouTube has this algorithm for its content where it serves up all these different videos across its entire platform to this huge audience of people that watch it every single day. So I could put this podcast out there this week and have it be listened to by people who've never heard of me previously, but just were interested in the topic of YouTube monetization. So YouTube has this incredible recommendation engine, this algorithm, this built-in audience that can then, send all these viewers over to your assets that you have on your channel over months or years. Well, and then the last thing I really love about YouTube is I just have a blast doing it. I would never recommend you start a YouTube channel or treat this like a job or a business or jump into this if you don't actually think you would enjoy it. The reason I'm doing this full time now is not just because it's sustainable in terms of the income it makes, but also because I would rather do this than many other jobs, which is why I've worked so hard for 3 years now to build this thing. So if you do it purely as a cash grab, I would not recommend it because, and I'll get into this in a little bit, it's not an immediate satisfaction kind of thing. It's going to take you a little while to start, unless you just get really lucky or you're just like amazing at the platform. You're probably not going to make your first couple videos and they're going to take off and blow up and you're going to make a bunch of money. It took me 6 months to hit 1,000 subscribers and get any kind of meaningful views. Some people it takes 9 months or a year or multiple years. So if you don't love the YouTube video making process, then what are you doing? Don't do this. There's other ways you can make money that you might like and might pay you as much. So speaking of making money with it, let's talk about how much I made last year, which I've already told you, $258,000. But let me break that down and tell you exactly how I made that money. So in YouTube, again, there is a built-in mechanism for making money, which is AdSense monetization. YouTube gets companies to pay them money to put advertisements on these videos. When they take that money, they give you a cut of that money from the time that they show it on your videos. This is the ad revenue. And in 2022, I made roughly $60,000 on my channel from just ad revenue. So that's like the built-in, baked in, you don't have to do anything other than turn it on when you're eligible part of making money on YouTube. And that in and of itself, I made a YouTube channel. 2 years later, it's paying me 60 grand a year, which a lot of people go, I'm done. That's great. I love that. But that's actually it's not actually my smallest, but of my three main sources, it is my smallest income stream from this channel. The next one up is affiliates. So anytime I talk about something that I really do like and I really enjoy using, that also happens to have an affiliate or referral program, I will put those links in my videos and share them, and people click them, and usually they get some money and I get some money, or they get a discount and I get some money for referring them to that company. Some banks have affiliate programs, there's Amazon affiliate programs. There's a multitude of affiliate opportunities out there. You can go onto entire marketplaces of just affiliate offers. Anyways, in 2022, I made about $80,000 with my affiliate marketing aspect of this channel. Now, the actual smallest part of this entire monetization puzzle of my channel was consulting. I don't do very much consulting. There's a couple of videos where I posted a link to where you could book some time with me to ask me questions about that particular topic. I don't really like consulting very much. It's a quick way to fill up your entire calendar. It's very lucrative if you want to do that, but I kind of did this whole YouTube content creator thing because I wanted even less obligations in a week. I like having an empty open calendar. I don't like having lots of meetings. I don't like lots of things filling my time, but I did do a little bit of it to the tune of about $3 grand last year. But my number one and biggest, and you've probably already figured it out by now, source of making money with this channel last year to the tune of $115,000 was sponsorships. Before we got into this section, I did a sponsor ad read. There's companies out there that have products or services that they want to get in front of audiences, and they will pay to do that. What's nice about this is that you don't give a portion up to YouTube. There's no other middleman, usually, unless you go through like an agency. It's a great way to make money directly from the brands. And the way I like to handle this is I only do sponsorships with brands that I actually use and like, and at least try to do that. The one good thing, but also a downside of YouTube, is that once you have a channel, and if it's in a fairly lucrative niche, like let's say you're going to do a personal finance YouTube channel, once you cross just a few thousand subscribers, if you put an email address anywhere on your YouTube page, you will very quickly start getting tons and tons and tons of emails every single month from companies for products and services and various things that they want you to sell to your audience. If I had said yes to every single one of those offers last year, I probably could have easily made over $1 million on sponsorships in a year. And maybe in hindsight, I should just do that, completely sell out for a year or two, and then just, not work again. But I feel like that's not sustainable, and I kind of want to do this YouTube thing for many more years. And my conscience, I think, wouldn't let me do that. So I say no to like 99% of those emails I get because they're just not good fits, or they're outright scams, or they seem like bad products, or I just don't care about it. So I only say yes to a very small percentage, but even that small percentage had turned into 6 figures of money last year. And the cool news about several of these is you don't even need to be a bigger YouTuber, like I already kind of alluded to get some of these figures. When I was maybe at 5,000 subscribers, or maybe just under 7,000, somewhere in that range, I was talking about personal finance in general, but I was also doing quite a few like bank reviews and things like that. So I had banks reaching out to me, and there's a couple that I really liked and really wanted to work with, and they would pay me a few $1,000s per video that I would mention them in. And so it was kind of this win-win. I really liked this bank or this company. I wanted to talk about them anyway, so I got paid to do it, and my channel was microscopic at the time. So if you're listening to this and you're like, ooh, I want to do this whole channel thing, just know you can monetize from a very early stage. You don't have to have a massive Mr. Beast type channel in order to make money with YouTube. But that said, not all niches are created equal. If I was running a gaming channel, for instance, I probably wouldn't be making nearly as much money as I am now. And what it all comes down to is how much money companies are willing to pay to be in front of a given audience. And since I talk about money and personal finance and investing and crypto and banks and all that kind of stuff, those are lots of companies that have lots of money to acquire customers. For example, I don't really like them and I have never worked with them and I don't want to work with them, but Wells Fargo, I know in the past a couple years, the average amount of money they spend per customer to acquire a new customer is something like $650 per customer. So if they're willing to spend that for one customer, of course, they're going to give some YouTuber who talks about banks or whatever, well, maybe not Wells Fargo again, but some other bank who actually would do this, would be fine with giving that YouTuber $50 or $100 per person that they get to sign up for that bank. Because in their mind, they're actually saving money because they've got so much. But if you are a gaming channel, for example, video game manufacturers, I'm in the workshop, I got my wrench, I'm building a video game. Video game companies don't have as much money per person to spend to get new customers of their games and things. So those advertising rates are lower. So in order to make the same amount of money, you might have to have more viewership, more subscribers, more videos, more views. My niche just happens to be a very lucrative one. I make a lot of money per view compared to other niches, but don't let that dissuade you. Don't just talk about money because it's one of the most profitable. There's lots of other profitable niches, but there's other ways around it. One, you should talk about something you're actually excited about, that you're actually knowledgeable about, and then figure out the best ways to make it as lucrative as possible. But there's also other niches that do have lower ad rates, like fitness, for example, that don't have as high of ad rates, but they can make just as much money, if not more. And this is also would work for gaming. Because of volume. One of my most popular videos, I think, has 200,000 or in some change views. Some channels that do fitness or gaming might have 2 million or 20 million or 200 million views. There's rewatchability with some of those things that I don't have. So there's pluses and minuses to each niche you get into. I'm just explaining why my channel makes as much as it does for its size. So then that begs the question, how can you use whatever niche you are getting into to your advantage? Or what else can you use to your advantage to get an edge in this fairly competitive YouTube space? Well, for me, when I was starting this channel, I watched a lot of other personal finance videos and other videos that I knew I wanted to create. And something I realized was probably 80 to 90% of them weren't great in terms of quality. The landscape has changed quite a bit in the past 3 years, but a lot of people were filming on their iPhones or filming on their laptop webcam and their audio quality wasn't great. So, my podcast right now, if you're watching the video version, this is a very stripped down version of my normal set or whatever. But even this would look remarkably better than what the average personal finance video was when I first was getting started. And even still, production, can be a huge advantage. But beyond that, it's also how much of my personality can I put in to these videos? Can I have more fun with it? Can I be more conversational? Can I get better at the whole speaking part? Can I practice that over and over? And if you watch some of my earliest videos on my main channel, sort by oldest and watch one of my oldest ones, I speak like this. I speak slow and I don't have much emotion and it's bad. I've gotten much, much better at this whole thing. And I mean, right now the podcast is a little bit more off the cuff than my YouTube videos, which I actually script out word for word. But there's many things for you personally that you can, lean into that are to your own personal advantage. And so I'm always trying to see what I can do to make myself stand out. There's lots of people who are doing it better than I am, but clearly something is working. So I just want to continue figuring out what other things might work to my advantage in this space. And you can apply that across many, many different niches. So I've already talked about the main ways I monetize: ads, affiliates, consulting, sponsorships. With consulting, I don't really do, but those are the 4 ways I did it last year. Another thing I added last year that's not included in these numbers is I started a paid community. I started a Discord community called Sleep Money Club, where people, if they want more information like they get on my channel, but in a deeper dive, to interact with me directly, to get on private live streams, that type of stuff, to see what I'm buying before I talk about it on my channel, for example, they could join my paid community. That is a fantastic way to monetize your YouTube channel outside of just AdSense. I cannot recommend enough that if you're going to do something like this, you need to diversify your income streams as much as possible. If you're relying on just YouTube ads, and then one day they turn that off for you, all of your income just vanished overnight. So have as many streams as you possibly can while keeping them sustainable. Don't spread yourself too thin. Start with one, then add a second one, work on that, see if you can manage that, then work on the third one. Just kind of slowly spread out, but diversify. But then also diversify your audience. I'm starting multiple channels on YouTube. I've got a decent sized Twitter following. I'm building up my email newsletter. I'm working on my TikTok and my Instagram. I've got my private community again. I'm trying to diversify not just where my audience is, but also where I make money to make myself as bulletproof as possible with all this stuff. So outside of, again, just AdSense or the normal things, what else will I be adding this year or next year to monetize my channel, which I haven't done yet? Well, one of the top ones is to start offering an online course. There's a bunch of different topics I want to do. It's just a matter of spending the countless hours that it takes to write and record and build out and do the whole course thing. But I know it could be really, really popular and successful. Along the same lines, doing smaller things that are digital products. Guides or PDFs of specific ways to look at portfolio management or this or that. Along with all that, which I've already started to, which is adding more YouTube channels itself, which is, again, what you're watching right now. Hello, this is another YouTube channel I have. I've got a couple more in the works. But to take my own advice, I'm not trying to spread myself too thin, even though I have been doing this for a couple years now. I'm adding these things slowly but surely. I want to, really crack the code on each one before I start adding the next one, because I want to make this thing last, and I want to build something that's not a house of cards and doesn't just fall down at the slightest little puff of breath. So if you're listening to all this and you're like, this sounds great, Andy, I want to do this. How do I do it? Is it too late to start on YouTube? And the answer to that is a very obvious no. It's not too late to start. YouTube is viewed by so many people. The ratio of creators to actual viewers on YouTube is crazy disproportionate. Yes, becoming a creator on YouTube is competitive. Yes, there is a lot of saturation. There's a lot of people doing it, but so few of the people who are attempting it are doing it well enough to actually succeed on it. So if you're willing to put in the work to figure out how to continually pivot, how to be flexible, how to make the whole thing work in your favor. If you can do those things, if you're willing to do that and willing to, put in what it takes to actually succeed, well, then it's not that competitive, and you can you can cut out your own little slice of that delicious YouTube pie. It's not too late. But I do think it's important to talk about, who is a good fit for doing this. Like I've already said, obviously, don't do this if you don't actually want to do this. If you're just doing it for the money. Cash grabs, no matter what industry or what job or what business you're starting, are rarely a good idea, because you're just going to burn out, because money's not a good enough motivator to do it. You have to actually love it and enjoy it to some degree. That's first. But second, you have to be okay and enjoy the grind of YouTube. Like I said, it took me 6 months of making basically $0 before I made my first few cents. So if you're not willing to do things like that, that was 6 months. It could take you a year. Could take you less time, but it's some amount of time that's not one day that you're going to have to spend grinding and making videos until, you see some success. And like I've already talked about, you have to be willing to iterate as you grind. Create a video, put it out there, then rewatch it from the point of view that you are a viewer of the video, not the creator, and then go, how can I make this better? Where is this boring? Where is this, where do I need to cut? What do I need to add here? How can I make this more engaging? How can I make it more valuable? I see lots and lots of creators who started when I did, because we'd post in each other's comments and stuff. And then I go back now 3 years later and I check, and they've grown not at all. And they either gave up, or worse, they're still doing it, but they've made almost no traction. Usually, I think the explanation for that is they're not willing to iterate. They're not willing to self-reflect. They just keep doing the same thing over and over while hoping they eventually succeed. And that's the definition of futility, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result when, it's obvious one isn't going to come. So you have to iterate, and you have to have that long-term outlook. Again, I'm thinking about the next several years of YouTube, not worried about the next month so much. So if I haven't scared you off, you still here? You still like this whole YouTube thing? If I haven't scared you off from YouTube, which hopefully I haven't, it's a very fun, exciting thing. I hope I'm communicating that. What should you do if you want to start YouTube? Well, number one is figure out what you can talk about. Are you an expert in any specific topic or field that you like talking about? What do your friends or family call you up and ask for your advice or help on? What are your hobbies or what are your passions? These are all good places to start investigating and then to see if there may be viable niches on YouTube. Once you get some kind of a direction of a plan for what you're going to talk about in your videos, you need to figure out what your base level starting production will be. I would never advocate for anybody who hasn't yet tried it, go spend thousands and thousands of dollars on cameras and microphones and this and that. However, so you don't have just a complete and total, crappy video experience, you might need to spend $50 on a good microphone. And then if everything works out, then later, a few months later, get a better camera, for example. But let me just tell you, your iPhone, on the back camera at least, if you turn it around and film that way, it's an incredible camera to start with. Just get a better microphone for it. Just figure out whatever your base level is that you think is good enough. Go get near a window and have nice window light instead of an overhead ugly light and give yourself dark, shadowy eyes. Watch a few videos that how to very cheaply have better than average production. And then figure out what that baseline is and then give yourself room to grow, but don't worry about growing right away. Once you figure out what the channel is going to be about and you figure out maybe what your first couple video ideas are going to be, please do not just take the video idea, sit in front of the camera with no other preparation, and then just talk about it with no plan. Some of the most boring, bad videos out there are improvised. You don't need to write a word-for-word script like I do for my main YouTube videos, but for just the very bare minimum, write an outline. Give yourself a beginning, middle, and end. Give yourself questions or prompts, and then give yourself some bullet points to talk on you can expand on. Give some kind of point. Respect the people's time who's going to be listening or watching that video, and give it some kind of cohesive plan. Because otherwise you'll ramble and you never get to the point. You need to give yourself some kind of restriction to how you can talk in your video. Again, for my main channel videos, I scripted out word for word because I'm very precise about how I want the edits and how I want the delivery and how compact I want it. But for like this podcast, for example, I have bullet points of each thing I want to talk about, and then I improvise on each bullet point. But if I didn't have those bullet points, I would be all over the place with no flow. I'd talk about one thing and it wouldn't make sense about the next section. They wouldn't flow from one to one. So please do some preparation. And if you're struggling for what ideas to even make videos into videos in the first place, go look at other people in your niche, some of the most popular videos, and then take that idea and just make it your own. Don't copy them. Don't do what they did, but take the general idea of it and say, what's my take on that? And then once you start doing this, just get through your first 50 to 100 videos as soon as you possibly can. I tell everybody, myself included, that your first 50 to 100 YouTube videos are going to be your worst. They might just be flat out terrible, but they are a fantastic way to learn the platform and to learn video making. So do those, just get through them as fast as you can, because the faster you get through all those, the sooner you learn those good lessons, and the sooner you can rewatch them and go, how can I improve the next time? How can I improve the next one? And the last thing I would say is just emotionally prepare yourself that no one's going to watch. Your videos will get 1 or 2 views, probably minimum, or they might get 1,000 views, but you shouldn't go into the expectation with it that this thing you thought about, you ruminated on this idea for weeks and you wrote a whole script and it's the perfect formula, it's going to go viral. It might. More likely for most people who do that, it just gets like 10 views and then they're heartbroken that it never got any views. That's fine. It's part of the process. Trust the process. Eventually, if you do the right things and you make the right kind of video, it might get tens of thousands of views or hundreds of thousands of views. But you have to put in the work first, at least most people do, before you get to those. I think it'd be really important, though, to kind of cap that section with also talking about what I think are my biggest mistakes I made when I started my channel. And I think the number one biggest mistake by far is waiting to start. Again, I had the idea for my Your Friend Andy YouTube channel in the back of my head for probably 1 or 2 years. And I just kept putting it off and just not doing it. And then when I finally started doing it and the video started catching on and I started getting viewerships, I clobbered myself upside the head and thought, Andy, why did you wait so long to do this? You could have had a head start. You could have had a couple years head start. And the space I'm in now, while not oversaturated, you can still you can still get in this space specifically, it was even less saturated, a few years before I started. So I could have had an even bigger advantage. So if you've ever thought about it, my number one advice for this entire podcast episode is just start as soon as you possibly can. Don't wait. That's my number one regret for YouTube, is just waiting. I do very much like where I am today. I'm grateful for the path I've been on. Would I change it if I could? Maybe, maybe not. But if I were starting a new one today without having one already, I would just say, start it as soon as you can. I also wish that I had experimented more with the actual types of videos and topics for my videos from the beginning. I kind of stuck in my lane that I thought I wanted to talk about and didn't veer out of that as much as I should probably have, because then I could have found some other combination of topics that might have done better than what I was currently doing, but I just was a little bit too afraid to try different things. And I think my third biggest mistake that I made with my channel is being afraid to talk about what I actually was the most excited to talk about. I've been in the crypto space for 6+ years now. I've been on YouTube for far longer than that, watching people, create content about everything, including crypto. I know specifically on the topic of crypto has cycles, bull and bear markets, crypto winters. When it's a bull run, everyone's excited about the topic. Videos get thousands of views and everyone's writing comments. In a bear market, in a crypto winter, lots of channels die or viewership goes way, way down. So I was scared to talk about something I'm really passionate and excited about on my channel. Initially, it took me almost a year to start talking about crypto on my channel because I didn't want to experience those cycles that I knew inevitably were going to happen. But then I started talking about the thing I was really excited about, and I still do, and I was having more fun, and the channel blew up. Yes, it has dipped considerably during this current bear market we are in, but I can at least say that I'm talking about something I'm really excited about. I'm still trying to do in creative ways, and I'm well poised for the next time the cycle turns back in my favor. I will be so much farther ahead of people who are just now starting, for example. So I hope this was an encouraging video to see a little behind the scenes view of my channel, what goes into it, but also to hear some thoughts. My very, modest and humble thoughts here. My channel is getting close to 100,000 subscribers. I have had other channels with millions of views and things like that, but I'm by no means an expert on YouTube. There's plenty of people who do it way better than me, and maybe you should just go listen to those people. But if you did get some value out of listening to me talk about this topic, because I do love this topic, then I hope you will take that value and advice, and if you want to start your own channel, go use it to go on to success and all that good stuff on YouTube. Also, if you have any specific topics that you'd like to hear me go in depth like this on the podcast, or if you yourself have something interesting to say and want to come on the podcast, or maybe you just have a suggestion for someone else you think you'd love for me to interview on the podcast, then please email me at podcast@yourfriendandy.com to let me know. In any case, I'd just love to hear from you. And if you are still here, hello to the people still listening, and you enjoyed this episode, then please leave this podcast a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you can leave podcast reviews. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.